I want to start this video discussing my personal history with Pokémon. Being born in the early 2000s, my first exposure to the franchise was not through the games themselves. It was through secondhand sources, like the anime, old commercials, weird school rumors, and of course, YouTube videos and Let's Plays. Super Skarmory was one of the first YouTubers I ever watched, and as a kid, I was really enamored by his Pokémon walkthroughs. Look at this. This was quality back then. Pokémon Soul Silver may have been the first Pokémon game I owned, but the first game I saw? Well, that was Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team. But that's a story for another time. Why is any of this important? Well, because the first mainline game I was exposed to was actually Pokémon Emerald. Yeah, this is it. This is the Pokémon game I have the most nostalgia for. Which is funny considering I never owned the game as a kid. It's like secondhand nostalgia or something. To be clear, I have played it a few times over the years, and although it's been a while since my last playthrough, my opinion has remained the same. I'll say it up front, I love this game. It's a personal favorite of mine, even if objectively speaking, it's a very standard Pokémon experience. That's not to say I don't have issues with it, I absolutely do, but it doesn't hamper my overall enjoyment much. In case it wasn't obvious already, this video is going to be very biased, like, even more so than usual. If you really hate Pokémon Emerald and wanted me to be more harsh towards it, I am very sorry. For some general info, Pokémon Emerald is part of the third generation of Pokémon. Emerald itself is a re-release of Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire. Though for this playthrough, I'll only be acknowledging Emerald. I've never played these two. It was released for the Game Boy Advance, and introduced a lot of new mechanics that became mainstays from here on out. Like the first two generations, the Hoenn games did get remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I'll save my thoughts on these versions till the end, but just saying this now, I do believe there is still merit playing Emerald over these remakes. Actually playing Pokémon Emerald in the modern day though is tricky, assuming you're not emulating it of course. Want to play this on real hardware? Well, good luck trying to find a legitimate copy these days. I'm almost sure half of these are reproduction carts. Even if you have a working cartridge, you still need a working handheld. My Game Boy Advance still works well, but the L and R buttons are starting to break. That's a shame. Like always, I'm doing a Nuzlocke of this game purely because I find challenge runs more interesting. Standard Nuzlocke rules as always, 1 Pokemon per area, and a fated Pokemon is considered dead. I'm also finally adding in the dupes clause. In short, you're allowed to keep searching an area for a Pokemon if your first encounter is a Pokemon you've already caught. And just like Pokemon Crystal, I'm adding the unique dupes clause rule for Pokemon I've already used in previous Pokemon videos. This is purely to give more Pokemon time in the spotlight. I refuse to use Zubat a third time. I'm sorry. With all that said, let's get started, shall we? Pokemon Emerald starts with meeting the Pokemon Professor Birch. He gives the usual speech about how cool Pokemon are and stuff. You pick your gender and name. For this game I went with the boy. Why? Well, when I was younger, I thought his hat was actually his hair. And, I mean, you can't compete with white hair, right? That's cooler than most Pokemon. What's my name? That's a good question. My name is Mr. Pokemon. That's right, I am the authority on all things Pokemon. Interestingly, you don't get to see or name your rival this time around. Instead, you immediately cut to the game. Welcome to Little Root Town, home to 3 buildings total. Upon arriving in the back of a moving truck, your mom asks you to head to your room and set your clock. Generation 2 utilized an internal clock system for certain events and mechanics. Generation 3, of course, keeps the mechanic, but unlike Crystal, it does not include a day and night cycle. These games are always at daytime, regardless of when you're playing. Other time-based mechanics do make a return though, which leads me to believe that the day and night cycle was cut either because of time constraints, or Game Freak just flat out forgot about it. It wouldn't be the first time. Oh, by the way, have I mentioned we're on new hardware? Yes, we have finally moved on from the Game Boy era and entered the Game Boy Advance. And good lord did it do wonders. I don't think I even need to point out the visual improvements. Look how many colors we can have. Look at how we can squash and stretch sprites. Look at the battle animations. You can actually sort of tell what's going on. I really like how this game looks. I won't pretend Pokemon Emerald is like the peak of GBA visuals. It's really not. But I do think it still holds up today. The music and sound effects, of course, also received an upgrade. The GBA wasn't exactly known for its sound quality, but I do think the music for these games sound nice. I like it a bit more than the chiptune of previous titles. The song playing right now for Little Root Town is straight up one of my favorite tracks in the franchise. It's nice to listen to. Upon exploring the only other damn house in this town, you'll run into your rival for this game. If you're playing as a boy, it'll be May. If you're a girl, it'll be Brendan instead. To my knowledge, they are identical. This generation was the beginning of the friendlier rivals. Yes, unlike Blue or Silver, this rival doesn't belittle you at every opportunity. And honestly, calling them a rival is a bit generous. They do fight you throughout the journey, but they don't care about becoming the champion or anything. Whenever you do run into them, they're more focused on catching Pokemon and completing the Pokédex. I'll save my actual thoughts on the rival for a later time. After meeting your rival, you can head north to leave Little Root. This girl by the exit tells us she heard someone yelling up ahead. Sure enough, you'll see Professor Birch being chased around by a Zigzagoon. He asks you to grab a Pokemon from his bag, and here's where we get our starter choice. A very unique setup for getting your starter Pokemon this time around. Our starters here are Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip. And to be completely honest, I actually like all three equally. Torchic starts the firefighting trend, but is otherwise a fine Pokemon. Mudkip eventually becomes a water-ground type, a very effective typing, and Trico's evolutions just look cool. Sadly, due to how the Hoenn region is designed, I almost never pick Trico. Emerald has a lot of good grass types. The same can technically be said for Mudkip, but water-ground is just too good. For this playthrough, I'll be using Torchic, the first Pokemon I ever saw, fun fact. It was like a weird Pokédex book, I can't remember. One quick battle later, Professor Birch takes us back to his lab. I nicknamed the Torchic Nyx, and Birch asks us to go meet May on Route 103. Oh hey, an excuse to leave the house for once in my life. And so we head off. Route 101 is a very short route, and without Pokeballs, there's no point in lingering here. Welcome to Old Dale Town. This place has our first Pokemon Center and mart for this game. You can get a free potion by talking to this salesperson. Speaking of which, the computer in your bedroom also has a potion. I have no idea why. I don't know how it gets digitized. It just works. Don't question it. Pokemon lore is too deep for me. Up north is Route 103. Here we can finally meet face to face with May. We talk for a bit and then we fight. I guess now's a good time to go over the battle system. Aside from the visual overhaul, battles haven't changed too much. In fact, battles never really change much between games. Pokemon is many things. Consistent is one of them. The big new addition this time around are double battles and abilities. Double battles will come up later, but abilities are things every Pokemon gets. Some abilities provide minor benefits, like Torchic's Blaze, while others completely change how a Pokemon functions. Abilities are one of my favorite new inclusions with this game. Like held items, they're always something I have to consider when creating a team. A Pokemon that may not look like anything special at first can in fact be hiding something special with its ability. Take a look sometime, some of these abilities are ridiculous. The May fight goes smoothly, and we go back to Birch. The professor asks us to complete the Pokédex. I laugh in his face and walk away. May also gives us Pokeballs, so with that, the game can finally start. Before leaving home, our mom appears and gives us the best item in the entire game. Oh, you think I'm joking? Think again. These are the running shoes. Tell me, what do you think these divine shoes can do? What godlike function could Game Freak have possibly added to this game? You can run by holding the B button. It took 3 games to get this feature. Best game ever made! A weird limitation of the running shoes is that you can't run while inside most buildings. I mean, I get it, you shouldn't run indoors, it's bad. But I want to, though. The running shoes effectively replaced the bikes in the old games. The bikes existed only to let you traverse the overworld faster. The running shoes here do that just fine, so this game does something different with their bikes. More on that when we actually get a bike. On Route 101, I accidentally killed a Wormpole, and in Old Dale Town, I headed left. Route 102 is where I found a Poochyena. Not a favorite Pokemon of mine, to be blunt, but sure, I'll catch it, might as well. This route also introduces trainers to fight and berry trees. You can pick these trees to get berries, but you'll need to place a berry in the soil to grow another tree. Berries in this game actually have more uses outside of battling, but for 90% of the game, you'll be using them to cure status effects. I also forgot to set the battle style to set, so yeah, I did that. Petalburg City is home to the 5th gym, and the gym leader happens to be your father. Oh damn, those exist. You also meet Wally here, another sort of rival. He gets an expanded role in the remakes, but here, I genuinely forgot he existed. I think that says enough about Wally. When you try to leave the city, you get stopped by a man named Scott.
Hey y'all, Scott here.
He'll be important later, I think. Route 104, I caught a Meryl and named her Peekaboo. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first Pokemon we've seen from an older generation. Let's talk about that actually, new Pokemon. The Hoenn games introduced 135 new Pokemon to catch, a step up from Crystal's 100 Pokemon. And unlike the Johto games, I feel Hoenn doesn't rely on using older Pokemon nearly as much. For the most part, you will be fighting and catching new Pokemon. There aren't nearly as many evolutions or pre-evolutions added in this generation. As for their designs, I'll admit they do feel very different from other games. Generation 1 and 2's Pokemon felt very cohesive in their designs, partly because I think some of them were supposed to be Gen 1 Pokemon. In contrast, when I look at a Pokemon from this generation, they just feel different. But I don't know enough about character designs to tell you why. I can just tell when a Pokemon came from Hoenn. Maybe it's the official artwork? I can't say. As a whole, I really love the new Pokemon added. This game gave us Slacking. Come on, that's worth like 5 stars right there. Anyway, Petalburg Woods is the early forest dungeon of this game. Here, I encounter a Silcoon. Okay, sure. Petalburg Woods actually has some decent Pokemon to be found. You can find Slackoff here, and he's worth at least 3 stars. This is also where we meet Team Aqua, the first evil team that's not Team Rocket. Ruby and Sapphire did an interesting thing where depending on your version, you would have a different primary evil team. Sapphire has Team Aqua, and Ruby gets Team Magma. I'll talk more about them later, but for Emerald, both teams share the role of antagonist. Going through Petalburg Woods takes us to the end of Route 104. This area gives us our first double battle. This was the other main battle addition to this game. You have 2 Pokemon on the field at once, and you command both of them at the same time. It's pretty easy to understand, and being the first games to have them, this generation features them pretty prominently. Nearly every route in this game has at least one double battle, some of them one after another. I really like this actually. Double battles open the door a bit for more strategy, and it's fun seeing your Pokemon team working together like an actual team for once. I honestly prefer them over single battles. It's a shame they never get this amount of spotlight in the franchise again. I wish there was a game that focused entirely on double battles. Oh, wait a minute. Rustboro City is a neat town, but who cares? I head over to Route 116 to catch a new Pokemon. I end up finding a Nincada, a really unique Pokemon for how its evolution works. Sadly, you'll never see it because I'm not using Nincada. Sorry, bud. I do some more training on this route, and I also stop by Rustturf Tunnel to go and catch a Whismur. Damn it, Nyx! Oh, speaking of Nyx, Torchic evolves into Combuskin, and I gotta say, she looks very phallic. Rustboro City is home to the first gym, and with Nyx's evolution, I think we're ready to take it on. The gym leader for this place is Roxanne. If the name wasn't an indicator, she is the Rock-type gym leader. Her team is 2 level 12 Geodudes and a level 15 Nosepass. As long as you're fighting every trainer up to this point, your team should be strong enough to take her down. Also, literally every starter Pokemon counters her team. Water-type, Grass-type, and Fighting-type, assuming you evolve Torchic. 1 gym badge down, 7 to go. Exiting the gym, you'll see the Team Aqua grunt again. He's stolen Devon goods from this guy, and he wants me, Mr. Pokemon himself, to go get them back. I should really start charging for my services. Head to Rustturf, and you'll also see an old man standing by the entrance. This sick son of a bitch not only stole from the Devon Corporation, but even kidnapped this poor old man's Wingull. When will this bastard be locked up? Fight the grunt and get the goods back. The scientist dude is thankful for our work and has us meet with Mr. Stone, president of the Devon Corporation. He wants us to deliver a letter to his son, Steven, over at Dewford. We have to head there for our next gym anyway, so sure. He also gives us something called the Pokénav. I won't spend long on this. It's essentially this game's version of the Pokégear from Pokemon Crystal. You can do a lot of neat stuff, like make calls and display a map. Like the Pokégear, it's very superfluous, but I find it cute. While in Rustboro, you'll also see May, and she'll ask you for a battle. I think this fight is optional, but do it anyway. It's free experience, and honestly she's not that tough. May's team changes a bit depending on what starter you pick. So for this encounter, she had a Mudkip and a Torkoal. Where did you get a Torkoal? Mate, where have you been? Heading back to Route 104, because we saved this old man's Wingull, he gives us a lift over to Dewford. I don't think boats move like this. Dewford's a town located on a beach, or shore. Up north are a few trainers and Granite Cave. I'm not going to explore this place just yet, but I ended up catching a Makuhita. Welcome to the team, big boy. Other things of note, I grabbed the old rod from this fisherman, and Peekaboo evolves into a Azumarill. And with that, let's go fight the second gym. Dewford is home to Brawly, the fighting-type gym leader. This gym gimmick is kind of annoying. Your vision is limited, and when you fight a trainer, the area you can see grows. I do like how it ties in with HM Flash, something you'll be using soon after this gym. This place is also a maze, but a fairly short one. You'll run into Brawly soon enough. Brawly carries a level 17 Machop, Meditite, and a level 19 Makuhita. Don't underestimate this fight, he can dish out a lot of damage. I sacrificed Silcoon and Ufiana here and got through the fight after enough time. Oh shit, I forgot to nickname Silcoon. The Bug. Okay, there we go. Another gym down. See you around, Brawly. What kind of name is that anyway? Before anything else, I drop off my Pokemon corpses into the PC box, and holy shit, they finally did it. Game Freak finally made a box system that isn't just the worst! You can access multiple boxes at once, and you can see all of your Pokemon easily. You can even rename the boxes. Screw the running shoes actually, this is the best new inclusion. With the second badge in hand, I head back to Granite Cave and use Flash to traverse the second floor. I fight through a horde of Zubats and Arons, and at the end of the cave, I find Steven standing there. As soon as you lock eyes, he tells us we could become the Pokemon champion and gives us his phone number. Dude, I just want to get paid. Alright, that's enough of Dooford for one playthrough. Our next stop is Slateport, and to get there, we hitch a ride with Old Man Jenkins. Route 109 is an interesting place, being a very open beach area. You can probably skip a majority of these trainers if you really wanted to. Slateport does not have a gym, but that doesn't make it any less important. It has a local market, a museum, and a battle tent. If you are playing Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, or the remakes, this tent is replaced with a contest hall. The battle tents are home to special forms of battling. For this tent, we have Battle Swap. You pick out a few Pokemon, and using those Pokemon, you fight through a series of battles. After each battle, you can also replace one of your Pokemon with one the opponent had. I decided to grab a Shroomish with no attacking moves, a Skitty with no attacking moves, and a Ninjask with just Fairy Cutter. Alright, I got the dream team with me. Who's my first opponent? Okay, that's just unfair. Battle Swap was actually pretty fun. It's interesting to be given a random assortment of Pokemon and trying to cobble together a team out of it. It's a neat distraction from the main campaign for a bit, to try and hone your battling skills. Obviously some of these battles will just not be in your favor, but honestly that just makes winning feel all the better. 3 battles later, I won the tournament and got a single full heal. Well, that was almost worth the 9 minutes I wasted here. To be clear, this is the only battle tent I will be partaking in the main campaign, and I also won't be bothering with the Pokemon contests later on. I want to save the rest of these for the post-game, assuming I ever get to that. But I figured I at least show off one for this playthrough. Before continuing the main campaign, I took a detour to Route 110 and found an Electrike. I love this thing. What even is it? A dog? A fox? Well, whatever. His name is Zippy. I talked to a few people and can now enter the Oceanic Museum, with a bunch of Team Aqua grunts in here. You know, maybe these guys aren't actually evil. They're just big fans of the ocean. Well, actually, let's get into that. On the top floor, you'll meet face-to-face with the team's leader, Archie. He explains what the purpose of Team Aqua is. All life depends on water, so he wants to expand the Earth's oceans. It's quite a different motivation from the Mafia gang from before. It's clear that Archie isn't the mustache-twirling villain like Giovanni. I don't know how to feel about Team Aqua, and Team Magma for that matter. They're way more involved in the plot than Team Rocket ever was. They both feel more like direct threats, so I feel more justified when I inevitably ransack their base. But I also think both groups are kinda idiots. Ah yeah, boss, we're gonna expand the water. How we gonna do that? Oh, well, you see, it's actually quite simple. We're summoning Cthulhu. Archie leaves after soon realizing he cannot contend with the Lord of Pokemon. Scott's also here, maybe. Route 110's got a lot going on, and that's not even considering the cycling road here. We could head left, right, or up into the house. Left takes us to Route 103. Let's go over here. What can go wrong? That can go wrong. The house up here has a small puzzle associated with it. Here you will meet the Trick Master, and he asks us if we're here to challenge the Trick Rooms. You know, funny thing, I actually wasn't. Bye. Heading right will take you to your next rival encounter. May here actually puts up a tough fight. Her team's now at level 20, and on a first playthrough, she'll probably catch you off guard. Luckily, I have the power of Foresight, aka playing this game before. May also has a Slugma now. Okay, first of all, how? And second, where did Torkoal go? What did you do to him? May, I need to know, is he okay? After the fight, May gives you the item finder, and gee, it sure is an item. Past Route 110 is home to the third gym, Mauville City. I forget this place isn't just a giant mall, they made it a mall in the remakes. Why did they do that? Mauville has a few things of note. One is this game's version of the Game Corner, which promotes gambling or something? I don't know. It's a slot machine, what do you want me to say? The other thing is the cycling shop. With the player receiving the running shoes near the start of the game, the bike wasn't really a necessary inclusion for this generation. Game Freak added it in anyway and gave us 2 bikes to pick from, the Acro Bike or the Mach Bike. The bikes are now used to traverse the overworld in unique ways. They both have different properties that let you reach areas you normally couldn't. This is a cool way to keep the bikes relevant and not feel redundant. The main downside though is that you can only get one bike at a time, and to get the other bike, you have to head back to this shop, which can be a small hassle. For most playthroughs, I generally grab one bike and stick with it for the rest of the journey. And for this playthrough, let's use the acro bike. In front of the entrance to the gym stands Wally. Wally's talking to his uncle about how he could totally take on Watson with a level 16 Ralts, and I kindly show him why that wouldn't work. After crushing a small child's dreams, Scott walks in and tells us how we are officially on his list of cool kids. Nice. Left of Mauville is Route 117. This route is where you can find the daycare for this generation, which works nearly identically to how it did in Generation 2. I put Blip in the daycare for now. Don't worry, Blip. I'm sure I won't accidentally forget you until like halfway through the game when you're like level 45 or something. I also caught an Oddish here. I do need a grass type, so I guess Puffball is now a member of the team. Route 117 leads to Verdanturf Town. This town holds another battle tent and a cave entrance for the other side of Rustturf Tunnel. The pathway is unfortunately blocked with rocks, so we can't pass at the moment. There's not much to do in Verdanturf, and with how the region is laid out, you could probably skip visiting this place for the time being, though we will be back later. Returning to Mauville, let's go north to Route 111. This route is also blocked by rocks, but in the space you can explore, we have something called the Trainer Hill. I can't do anything here right now, so just ignore it. Last thing here is the Windstraight family. 4 battles back to back against the Windstraights, but little do they know that I am a Pokemon Master. I am Mr. Pokemon himself. I have fought against champions and gods and... Okay, that one's on me. Doing these 4 fights net you the Macho Brace, an item that's probably very good, but I have no idea who to give it to. Also, my dog died, so I'm a little unfocused. After losing a beloved pet like that, the only natural response is to kill someone else's pet. Let's go to the gym. Watson is the Mauville City gym leader, specializing in electric-type Pokemon. His team consists of 4 Pokemon, a level 20 Voltorb, Electrike, a level 22 Magneton, and a level 24 Magnetric. Okay, Watson, you're 2 levels off with that Magnetric. While having 4 Pokemon sounds scary, I don't think Watson is all too bad. If you didn't start with Mudkip, you probably don't have a ground type yet, so either use a grass type or you're overleveled Combuskin because all your other Pokemon keep dying. Good job, Nyx. Welcome back to Route 111. We can now use Rock Smash outside a battle to, surprise, smash rocks. Puffball was so impressed by this act, he immediately evolved into Gloom. Past these rocks, you'll meet 2 trainers, Gabby and Ty. These 2 are recurring characters in the game. You fight them in a double battle, and after each encounter, they'll ask for an interview. Said interview is you saying a single word to them. I am confused. The north part of this route is inaccessible at this point due to a severe case of I don't think that's how weather works. Left leads to Route 112, and here I encounter a Marill. Alright, the second encounter is... a Marill. Alright, 3rd time's the charm. Here I find him... okay, no. Alright, a Numel. Sure, I'll take it. Up ahead here is our first encounter with Team Magma, in which I mean they completely ignore your presence and instead talk about the story. A little less dramatic than Team Aqua so far, come on guys. Our only way forward is the Fiery Path, and the only Pokemon I could find here is a Numel I already have, and a Coughing, which I've already used in Pokemon Crystal, so no. Oh, and a Machop. No. The other side of Route 112 brings us to this guy, who introduces us to another new mechanic in Gen 3, Secret Bases. By using secret power on specific tiles in the overworld, you can make a secret room to decorate to your liking. Similar to the battle tents, this is something I want to delve further into with the post-game, because as is, the only thing I can place is a Torchic doll, which I can't even place down. Overall, this is still probably the closest I'll ever get to owning a house. Our next stop is Route 113, and on this route you have a low chance of encountering a Skarmory. Alright, let's see what we got. You know, I was kinda expecting that. This route is fun. You got ash everywhere and you can run through the grass to collect it, and then you can talk to this guy who will make you items based on how much ash you have. This place is cool. I'm gonna have some severe health problems later down the line because of this, but that's beside the point. Nothing can bring down my mood. Okay, I'm starting to think maybe I shouldn't be fighting every single trainer I see. Fall Arbor Town is a quaint place. You meet Lynette here, who apparently built the storage system in this region. Honestly, better than Bill. You can name your boxes. I'd like to see Bill do that. Fall Arbor also has the 3rd battle tent, this house that has a giant hole dug through it, and the move reminder. I believe this is the first generation to have this guy. In exchange for a heart scale, this guy can teach your Pokemon moves that it may have forgotten. Heart scales are a rare commodity at this point of the game, so we'll have to come back here at a later time. Route 114 is where I found a Lombre. I'll be keeping Lombre in the box at the moment, since we're pretty far off from being able to evolve it yet. You can meet up with Lynette here on this route again. She'll give you a Lotad doll. That's a cute coincidence. This route isn't anything special. It's not a safety hazard like 113. At least Pokemaniac Steve is here. Love that man. This route leads into more rocky terrain, and at the end is the entrance to Meteor Falls. Literally all I found here is Zubat, and I refuse to use Zubat for the third time in a row. But enough about that, it's time for more plot. Team Magma is here, and they have stolen a meteorite from this scientist. Then suddenly, Archie and Team Aqua appear, and the Magma grunts book it to Mount Chimney. Archie's still not here to fight us, and actually wants to stop Team Magma from doing a stupid. Again, not really villains, but still kinda villains. It's weird. Meteor Falls loops back around to Rustboro, which you could head to if you so desire. I'm simply going to backtrack. Regardless of your path, your next destination is back where you first saw Team Magma. Take the cable car up when you're ready. Okay, this is a much better first impression. Team Aqua was harassing a museum and stealing random stuff, and Team Magma is trying to cause a volcanic eruption. We already have some contrast between these two teams, and this event clearly has much higher stakes. This area has a few grunts and one admin mini-boss. Along the path, you'll see Magma and Aqua grunts duking it out with just Poochyena. I swear, these guys love Poochyena. Even Archie has one. Eventually, you'll come across Team Magma's leader, Maxie. He explains his team's motivation, which boils down to, land is pretty neat, we want to expand the land. Okay, die! Maxie's team is a level 24 Mightyena, a Zubat, and a level 25 Camerupt. This team has a bit of variety. The Zubat is clearly the oddball here. It should at least be a Golbat by now, shouldn't it? I don't think it would have made this fight much harder. After the fight, Team Magma backs down and leaves. Archie comes up and questions what our motivation is in all of this. Personally, I like air. We should expand the atmosphere. Before leaving, make sure to grab the meteorite from the machine. Also grab a few lava cookies from this lady. You've earned it, bud. The Jagged Pass is up next. Our first trainer here has a Geodude with Magnitude. Hey, so you know when you use Dig, you're usually invulnerable for one turn beforehand? Well, there are actually a few moves that can still hit you while underground, and will even do more damage. Earthquake is one of them, and the other is Magnitude. On an unrelated note, Plum's dead. Also, I forgot to record the rest of Jagged Pass, so I'm at Lava Ridge now. This town's cute. The Poké Center in this place connects to a hot spring. It doesn't do anything, it's simply for aesthetics. This old lady here also gives you an egg. I'll carry it around, but spoiling this now, I won't be using the Pokemon that hatches from it. Lava Ridge doesn't have a Pokemart, but it does have a herb shop. Herbal medicine works like most recovery items, but lowers a Pokemon's friendship as a caveat. So if you're a heartless bastard, go ahead, grab as many as you want. Last place of interest is of course the 4th gym. Remember how Sabrina in the first game had this teleportation puzzle that was really annoying? Yeah, this gym brings that idea back, but now the rooms are different shapes, so it's easier to keep track of where you've been. Some of these weird ash piles are trainers in disguise, so be prepared for that. This gym is fire themed. If you have any water type Pokemon, you should be fine. Otherwise, I don't know, get a Pokemon with high special defense. The gym leader for this place is Flannery. Her team is a level 24 Numel, Slugma, level 26 Camerupt, and a level 29 Torkoal. Yeah, that's certainly a jump up from Maxie. The scariest thing she can do is use Overheat, an extremely powerful fire-type move that all of her Pokemon can spam. Assuming she ever gets a turn to attack. Peekaboo just shreds this fight. I almost feel bad. May will be waiting outside the gym. She'll give you the Go Goggles and tells you where to head next. With 4 badges in hand, that only means one thing. Our next gym leader is Norman. Dear old dad. If you remember, Norman's gym is back at Petalburg. And before you ask, nope, we still do not have HM Fly. You gotta walk all the way there. But to be honest, this part actually highlights one of my favorite aspects of the region. At least this half of the region. Hoenn is very interconnected. As you go through the journey, you'll gradually unlock shortcuts and places that loop back on each other. As an example, Meteor Falls brings you back to Rustboro, and then you can head left to Rustturf Tunnel, which brings you back to Verdanturf. Most of the important cities will only take you a few minutes to travel to, so the lack of HM Fly is not much of a hindrance. And without fast travel, it really feels like I'm actually exploring and traveling a whole region. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Pokemon Emerald is the best Metroidvania I've played this year. I'm completely joking, don't take that seriously. There's nothing stopping you from heading to Petalburg immediately, but it's clear you should be using this time for preparations and more exploration. First things first, with the Go Goggles, we can now travel the desert back on Route 111. Technically, this place is still a part of the route, but I always count it as a separate area. I caught a Trapinch here. I really like this Pokemon. It evolves into a dragon later, but its menu sprite is oddly pink or magenta. I named him Pinky. The most notable thing about the desert is how it affects battling. Every fight in this area will have a permanent sandstorm effect in play. Was weather a thing in Gen 2? I feel like it was, but I can't remember any instance of it. Anyway, weather effects are things that affect battling. In a sandstorm, for instance, any Pokemon that isn't ground, steel, or rock will take a small bit of damage every turn. There are loads of weather effects, like sunlight, rain, and hail. Some moves cause weather, some abilities summon it, and some weather effects depend on the overworld. Although most weather effects have a very small impact on battling. I'm sure it's more important in competitive play, but here I'm at most mildly annoyed. Still, I really like the mechanic, especially here where it ties the weather theme of this game into the battles naturally. Every so often when you enter the desert, you'll see this tower appear. The Mirage Tower is a small dungeon where you'll need the Mach Bike to fully traverse. At the end you'll find 2 fossils, the Root and Claw fossil. Taking one will cause the tower and the other fossil to fade into the sand. Picking a fossil is always a tough choice in Pokemon games. It's like picking a starter where you can't go back, so you really have to consider your options. I'm joking, I always go Root Fossil. To revive the fossil, head back to Rustboro and enter the Devon Corporation. I feel I always go back and forth on whether a fossil Pokemon is allowed in a Nuzlocke. Same with gift Pokemon. I think in this case I'll allow it because technically speaking I got it in Rustboro, not the desert. Also, have you looked at my team recently? I need more Pokemon. While you're here, talk to the Devon president. For all your troubles, he'll reward you with the experience share. Next up, go right to Rustboro to the Rust Turf Tunnel. Break the rocks here to clear the way. This guy will be grateful and give you HM strength. We'll need this to finish the game. Because of all this running around I've been doing, the egg finally hatched into Wynot. Thanks. Why? Last order of business is some training. I level up Nyx until she evolves into Blaziken. Is this overkill? Probably, but I do have a reason. This is the team I'm going in with, just Nyx and Peekaboo. If this next gym ends in a team wipe, I'll at least have some Pokemon left in the box to continue on. So, with that, it's time to journey back to Petalburg. I consider this gym to signal the halfway point of Pokemon Emerald. It's a big moment. It's a fight against a parental figure, it's a gym immediately following another gym, and by this point you've probably amassed a strong team. Probably. This will be a true test of your strength. So then, are you ready? Let's find out. The Petalburg gym has a unique gimmick. Instead of having a puzzle or a maze, instead we have a series of rooms. Each room has a trainer that specializes in one thing. Attack, accuracy, one-hit KO moves, things like that. You get a choice on what rooms you visit, unless you're like me and go through every room anyway. Hey, it's free experience. The actual theme of the gym is normal-type Pokemon. Only weakness is fighting, but really any Pokemon can take this gym on and be fine. Theoretically speaking, of course. I'm using Nyx here because, oh hey, look at that fighting type. Norman will be waiting in the final room. The preceding dialogue is short and to the point. We're not here to reconnect, no, we're here to fight. Norman leads with a level 27 Spidna, definitely his weakest Pokemon. Vigoroth follows suit, a hint of what's to come. I want to mention that 3 of his 4 moves are normal type, but his last move is Feint Attack, dark type. So, if you somehow had a pure ghost type Pokemon by this point and thought you could cheese this fight, yeah, tough luck. Linoon is up next, and this guy only has normal type moves, meaning you could cheese this guy. He has Belly Drum too, so watch out for that. If you're wondering, I only look up gym leaders' teams after each fight, not before, because that would be cheating. I only do mild cheating, like have an overleveled fighting type Pokemon. And now we have his final member, a level 31 Slacking. This is a terrifying Pokemon. Unless you're playing competitively, Slacking doesn't even get a tier. That's sad. Slacking has stats comparable to most legendary Pokemon. Thus, he hits like an absolute truck, can tank hits for days, and is faster than you think. He has a Citrus Berry and can put your Pokemon to sleep. And worst of all, this Slacking knows counter, meaning if you hit him hard but don't kill him, well... The only thing holding Slacking back is his ability, Truant. Slacking only attacks every other turn. Try to capitalize on that fact. Maybe only attack on turns where he can't counter. The remainder of this fight was Peekaboo repeatedly falling asleep, doing chip damage, and repeated healing on both sides. But unfortunately for Norman, I'm the main character. Slacking falls, and I win. And there we have it, 5 gym badges in hand. Wally's uncle, or dad, I keep forgetting, drags us to his place and gives us HM Surf, a symbol for what's to come. You can finally surf on water, opening up new paths on a lot of earlier routes. From here on out, you're pretty much required to have a water-type Pokemon on your team. To continue the story, we'll have to head back to Mauville, but I need to do some thinking. I am now sitting at 5 gym badges, and I have been playing for almost 10 hours at this point. And after all of my troubles, all I have to show for it is an Azumarill and 3 other Pokemon that are barely reaching level 20, and a Spinda, but they don't count. At the pace I'm going, I expect to be dead by like the next route, so I think now would be a good time to do some major grinding. I'll be training 3 Pokemon each, which is a lot, but it can't be that bad, right? Right?